I also feared success and myself. And those are the only things that will give you difficulty in your life. And that is the fear and also of becoming yourself. And I know this because I've written about it and I've known it for the longest time, but I still feared myself. You see, because we have to come to this place of acceptance of why we were born, what is our unique purpose. And then when we live that, then we live the lives that we want to have and have everything that we want. Now, success may mean many different things to you. Most people think about money, but I think of it as a sense of fulfillment where you know that you matter, that your life made a difference in the world, because we must accept we don't live forever. We are on the earth for a period of time, and so it would make more sense for us to really enjoy our time here. But we don't do that if we continue to stay in fear of ourselves and fear of becoming successful, meaning having the abundance, having everything that we want, because it's within every single person. And we're in a place in our world where I understood all of this, but explaining it to others was also challenging because I had to move through my patterns, because that's all that happens. We are consciousness. And so we will form consciousness that's based on stuff we don't know, that's coming from something that existed before. And then if we keep doing the same old things, then we don't have the kind of lives that we want to have. And we also don't have the kind of world that we want to experience, because that's what I know is happening at this time, which is why I created all of my work. But I'm going to show you one article first, to tell you what I'm saying, because I know that it's challenging for people to hear me at times because I receive information differently than maybe many others and in a different way. But this article I wrote July, let's see, it's July 7th, I think. Yeah, July 7th of 2022. And the title is I Feared Success in Myself. And it's a pretty long article, but I go into it because I wanted people to understand. And this first line here, if we haven't reached a level of success in our lives in whatever way we might measure that to be, it can only be because we have become afraid of becoming ourselves. That statement could be true for you even if you've achieved financial success in your life. I know because I've coached multi-millionaires. We are all born with equal talent, ability, and potential. And see, that's the thing that we're trying to come to understand and figure out now, is that we all have that. But then when our egos get in the way, that will cause us to hide, which is what I've done, because that's built into us. We learned that a long time ago. And then we'll have all these other people who have different ways of using their egos that make us think we're not enough. That's what goes on all the time. It goes on throughout civilization, and I started to understand that. And I'm going to leave a link to the article, but I would love for you to go back and read all of the articles on my website, because there's nothing happening in the world now that I didn't talk about. There's nothing that's happening in the world that I didn't receive. And you'll see that I put an article in there where I said I downloaded a philosophy, and I did, because that philosophy says that if anyone uses it, they would heal, they'd become happy, they'd become prosperous, they would do all of that. And so I'm the last person to do it because I had to develop it first, but that's what I'm changing now. And I've said to everyone, I'm changing my program tomorrow because I have to put in more and change the rate and all of that, because it's not going to matter. Um, and I say all the time, I have the most valuable thing anyone can own. And I know that that's true. And I'll tell you why I know. Because, see, when I was born, there was something wrong with me. That's what it felt like. Well, that's what they thought. The doctors thought. I don't have all of this in everything, but this is going to be part of the book because I want people to understand. There was something wrong with my skin when I was born, and the doctors couldn't figure it out. They didn't even want my mother to breastfeed me because they thought maybe I was allergic to her. They didn't know what was going on with me. And then at that, how everyone was getting circumcised, we kind of carried that tradition on. And so, but I wasn't, because they didn't want to touch me because something was wrong. And so then I ended up moving through the rest of my life having all kinds of illnesses, diseases, accidents, everything possibly imaginable in all these physical ways that I didn't understand, and suffering in ways that were just crazy. And I'm 73 and they're all gone. Even the skin things, absolutely everything. And so it happened because I reached a higher state of consciousness and understanding by the work that I was given. And I said I was given because I didn't know this. I was accessing a different state of consciousness. And that's what happened. And that's why I was able to create or bring in a new philosophy. And you will read that article as well. But again, there's nothing happening in your life or our world that I didn't understand. And this is why when I do a channeling session, I'm able to access different levels of consciousness. When I'm working with a person in a private channeling session, I'm able to do the same thing. But accepting that and telling you about it was really challenging for me because I'm also, as Carl Jung would tell you quite, he would say, yeah, the most difficult personality type is these introverted intuitives, and that's what I've been because I don't like to be public. I don't like to be on social media. Those things are uncomfortable for me. But now I'm going to be speaking to a really large audience because I'm going to be speaking to the world, so I can no longer hide, which is what I don't want anyone else to do. You also start to understand that everything is energy, meaning our lives are energy, our planet is all energy, and we each contribute equally by how much we decide to love who we are and embrace who we are and decide to become successful. And we do that by becoming ourselves. And that's all the work that I have developed. And when you read the article, you will see how I detail, because I've made many people hugely successful through the work that I've done. And I put a story in there talking about how I came back to something that I had given up when I was 12 years old. And then I came back and did it again because I needed to understand it and I needed to figure it out. And then I created this big business and I created so many other stars who made millions of dollars, even though it was never about the money. It was about kind of energy can we put into ourselves and into the world. But then I'm also empathic, so I feel everything. And so the other thing that I did, and I couldn't break this pattern because I kept thinking, if I just tell people what this could do for them, and if I make it reasonable, make it an amount that they could afford, they would do it. But that doesn't work because, see, they won't believe it because it's not costing enough. We like to suffer a bit more. So I'm going to make it cost more so people will understand it and so that I can finish the work because I haven't done it either. Because, see, that's a self-sabotage that you do as well. Because if you're not going to embrace who you are and what you've been given, because everyone has a gift, I have that on my website, that, everyone has one. But if we don't embrace it and own it, then our lives just go to hell. And that's what's happened for me because I keep wanting everyone else to understand, and that's not going to happen. And that's what's going to move on in our world now. And I know that I have to step outside of that. And I'm very grateful because there have been several things that have been released recently, interviews and all of that. And I have another big one that's coming out. And so because my message has always been that we are in a process of changing our world. And we do that when we remember our connection to Source, to God, to who we are, to whatever ideology you might believe that gives us a sense of oneness, that gives us something that knowing that we're meant to be here. And that's every single person. But everyone's not going to do that. And so what we kind of end up doing at times is trying to change others instead of changing ourselves. And I have been doing that. So I'm changing myself now. And I'm going to embrace this. And whoever's meant to come in will do that. And whoever wants to become really happy, successful, and prosperous, they will start to own themselves. And I have a way of doing that. When I talk about the hundreds of people that I coached for so many years, and this is why I changed several years ago, I could see that the only problem people had was that they could not accept who they were. They couldn't embrace who they were. And I spent years creating different programs and moving around um, in different ways, trying to tell everyone that. But now I am going to go even further. But I want to show you something else because, again, I said there's nothing that is going on in our world that I did not know because I receive it precognitively. And that's in the article, and you will read that. But also, everything that's happening now, I've written about it years ago because that's what I've received. And if you look at these messages, these are the articles on my site, and you will see that I have written everything that was going on, and I've done it over years. Most of these are, you see, 2022, but they went back a little bit further as well because I wanted everyone to understand the transition that we were moving through in our lives and also in the world and why I started changing. And when I wrote the one about I might be channeling Carl Jung, yes, that's what was happening because we have connections to those who have come before and we keep bringing forth new information. And that's what my life has led me to do. So, but please read all of them and you will understand because it'll be a really educational experience for you and you will understand my work and you'll decide if you want to join as well. But I just want you to understand that the only difficulty that we have as individuals and also as a planet is when we can't accept our authentic selves. If we can't accept the unique being that every human was meant to become, because that's why we were born. And that's what I'm doing today. And so I hope you start to become successful by deciding to become yourself.